Now look, before you even get started, I know I'm gonna get a shit ton of comments like this. Y'all act like old heads and complain about any older person that shits on new gen rappers. Like, be for real, the same way niggas outside of Cali are not bumping E40, niggas outside of Texas are not bumping DJ Screw. All respect to him, of course. This is Playboi Carti, of all people that we're talking about. We're not talking about Nas, we're not talking about Ludacris. Also, we were not outside for Young Thug back in 2011, back when Swamp Izzo started his first few works that I've seen for him. And he played a super important role in that, right? Along with like mixtape Lil Wayne and other people like that. We were in 2nd grade learning how to tell time and how to do 35 plus 21. And your old ass was in middle school or high school back then. And even now, most Carti fans are like fucking 16 to 25 even. And when I was in 2nd grade, they weren't even in preschool. So let's not act like that. Whole Lotta dropped on Christmas of 2021. Now keep in mind, that was back when I finished my first semester of college and I'm about to graduate now. That is like 4.3 fucking years. Now look, granted, right? Everyone is allowed to have their own opinion about iMusic, right? That's fine. Now you can have no ears like a Netspan fan and just completely love it. Or you can be an absolutely seasoned music veteran like myself, who is a seasoned DDG fan and hate the album. Now, before we even get back into it, let's talk about the fucking grails. The snippets he already showed on Instagram and performed at festivals. Maybe there were some leaks too, but honestly, I'm not a big enough Carti fan to listen to leaks or care about them unless they get like super big, like Pissy Pamper or whatever, right? So there was Pop Out from Rolling Out Miami, super short snippet, K-pop, which is Ketamine, Evil Jordan, and Hood by Air. You know, mostly solid songs, if we're gonna be honest, but some of them were a little bit disappointing, if I'm gonna be honest. You know, Pop Out should have had Carti yelling a lot more aggressively like he did at the Rolling Loud performance for the song. And then I feel like, personally,
Crush was hard as fuck in the snippet, and it made it seem like the song would be, you know, much better, but when you actually listen to the song, it feels like
your girl is just sitting right behind you, you know, stroking your shit and edging you, but not even edging you in like a good way, you know? She's like
edging you half-heartedly, and she has like
sandpaper all over her hands, and she's just going at it, no lotion, no nothing.
And you know, it just doesn't feel good. Or she just took her organic chemistry final after her dog just got ran over by a bus, then got the score back the same day. She got like a 47, failed the class, has to retake it, sent her back by another semester, and then
her dad got back and beat her again.
And then she had to go do that to you. You know, just like extremely underwhelming, if I'm gonna be honest. And then, you know, K-pop, just Ketamine, fine, no complaints. It was pretty much the same exact thing. And then Evil Jordan, everyone pretty much still has like super duper duper mixed thoughts on it, especially because of the intro. I mean, I don't know, honestly, I liked it. It was fine enough. It was just a little bit longer than it needs to be. If it was maybe 10 or 15 seconds shorter for the intro, it would have been perfectly fine in my books. But I mean, whatever, everyone can have their own opinion on that song. Now yes, I know exactly what you are thinking. This is actually mostly about the tags in the song. If he just kind of stuck to production, you know, having his ad-libs every, you know, here and there, and having his producer tag at the start or at the end, or maybe somewhere in the middle every so often, it would have been fine. Honestly, he could have been
smoking crack in the back alley and doing heroin,
and it all would have been fine because the production was still very good, and I have to go give him that. But no, he couldn't just leave it there. He had to act like it was a Gangsta Grillz mixtape and yell his name every 2 seconds on a commercial album. Actual album itself, I'm gonna be real, I thought that shit was completely unlistenable. I got up to like, track 13 or 14 and just turned that shit off. I think Crank was track 13 and 14. Now, was the music itself bad? I wouldn't necessarily say that. It just felt like there were too many random changes and unnecessary additions for the songs we already heard before, along with it just being some of it just being super fucking corny. And I know everyone's saying, yeah, the album feels rushed, blah, 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 blah. I'm not talking about that. I have my own reasons for it, and I'm not just dick riding. For example, right, on Mojo Jojo, Kendrick was talking about my evil twin, Carti, my evil twin, blah, 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 and turning into a fucking alien. Brother, Kendrick Lamar has been one of the most influential, respected, and important musicians, let alone in music period, and in rap has consistently been top 2 most important people since, I wish I could say 2011, but even back in 2011 he was still probably like top 5 or top 6. And to have Kendrick kind of doing that for Carti of all people and kind of showing his ass off, I think that's kind of crazy. And obviously, you know, I'm not saying that if you're like pushing 40 or pushing 30 or whatever, you can't have fun, you can't enjoy yourself on music. But like Kendrick of all people on that, I wouldn't expect it. But once again, don't get me wrong, I'm not hitting on Kendrick for, you know, not doing spiritual miracle lyric or whatever. I don't care, right? He's a cool guy, right? And his music is fire. One of my favorite fucking verses from Kendrick is on a Rich the Kid song of all people. Kendrick is gonna do his thing regardless, but no, that shit was corny. Now, it feels like any type of musician that gets on a song with Carti for some reason, even if they're bigger than him, way bigger than him, decides to show their ass off on a song for him. For example, Camila Cabello, the Clan member, and Trippie Redd. Trippie Redd is known for dropping relatively consistently, and Mr. Rage, once again, granted, that was because of a clearance issue. If it was any other rapper, Trippie Redd would have just found a way around it and just like did anything else. But because it was Carti, he kind of let it slide and take maybe like an extra 2 to 3 months to go. Now, off the bat, in the songs that Swamp Izzo has any role in, he cannot shut the fuck up for the life of him. I checked out his discog, you know, went all the way back to 2011, listened to maybe 10 to 15 songs. Granted, a good chunk of them were older Young Thug songs, because that's what most people were saying to listen to. And first song was by 645 AR. Once again, I know that Swamp Izzo is still an important producer, mostly for mixtapes, and, you know, he's an Atlanta legend. People could say a similar thing about, you know, DJ Drama, or maybe even that bum DJ Khaled, even though I have my own political opinions about him, which is for another topic. People would kind of say that they do a similar thing. I still appreciate that in most of their songs, they don't fully overdo it, right? The most times you'll ever hear them say anything or like speak on a track is maybe 10 to 13 times, absolute fucking max. And the one that I like hate the absolute most by DJ Drama is Still Spittin' by Ludacris, right? And Ludacris is still one of my favorite rappers to this day. Now, once again, you know, all those other like older songs from like the early 2000s and shit. I am 22, so I'm not that old. I'm not gonna act like I remember everything. Everything that I did hear, though, it was like 99% of it was from my dad, especially for rap. And then all the R&B stuff was from my mom. You know, every Ludacris song, Jay, Kanye, Lloyd Banks, Jadakiss, 50 Cent, Fabulous. Fabulous especially was on repeat in the car, family outings, at the house, everywhere. So let's also not act like I'm one of these fucking broccoli-haired fake rap enjoyers whose only perception of rap is from Uzi, Carti, Eminem, and Osama Sun. But, you know, once again, with my least favorite DJ Drama song from an artist that I really like, he still doesn't overdo it like fucking Izzo. Now let's do a friendly little count of the top songs on music where Swamp Izzo decided to add his tags and speak the most. Number 10, Overly, where he was 7. Walk with 9. Crush with 9. Hood by Air, 10. So far, you know, all okay, perfectly fine, you know, didn't annoy me at all. And now Radar in Munyon with 15. South Atlanta Baby, 16. Opium Baby, 20 fucking 1. Crank, 20 fucking 2. And guess what song is number 1? Take a second. Take a guess. If you heard the album, you know which one it is by far. Trim. And you want to guess how many tags he put on Trim? 30 fucking 5. At that point, just do a fucking feature on the song. You might as well be on it if you have 35 fucking tags on it. Holy fuck. Why do you feel the need to do all of that on a commercial album out of all things, right? Especially on one of the most hyped rap albums for the past 4 to 5 years. If he was going to continue to do that, alright, cool. If he wants to do it on mixtapes, cool. Perfectly fine, right? Nobody's gonna say shit because they're not trying to get a shit ton of people to listen to it and try to get 300,000 plus first week sales on a mixtape. Nobody's trying to do that shit. So cool, right? But the issue is they're doing that shit on a commercial album. And then fans want to complain when people don't like them, right? What? What? But you can't try and get 300,000 plus first week sales and then get Spotify to push it, have every big rap page pushing your shit, have a bunch of billboards everywhere from Spotify, notably in big places like Times Square, along with doing a bunch of songs like people that aren't even in your lane, like Lotto and Camilla Clanbello, and then expect those types of people to like it. What? I'm not 100% shitting on them musically for it, but I didn't even know I listened to a bunch of those songs like Blake Something by Lotto and Mr. Everything by Westside Gunn. Shout out to Westside. He could have just done it way more tastefully. I feel like the way that Carti and Ken fans speak out Lil 88, talking all types of crazy shit to them, is what they should have been saying about Swamp on this album. Now, nobody would have said anything, once again, if it was just a mixtape that wasn't as hyped up and pushed like this. At the end of the day, you know, artists can make whatever they want as long as they like it. We don't have to like it, but we're entitled to our own opinion about it, right? Especially since we're paying for all these streaming services and paying to be able to actually listen to the music, even if we're not paying per song. These are just my personal opinions. The album already sold 302K, maybe a little bit more than that first week, so props to them. But, you know, what do you guys think about the album? You know, what was your favorite song on the album and your least favorite one too?